Hello, I'm Mayor Nora Radest, and I'm here doing another segment of See You Around Town. I'm located at the Office of Family Promise in Summit, and I'm with Klaus Ehlers, who is the Executive Director of Family Promise. October is a special month for Family Promise. It's their 30th anniversary, and we're excited to showcase them and explain what they do to all of our viewers today. So, Klaus, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much, Nora.
Just delighted you can be with us today. So can you tell me about Family Promise and how did it start?
Sure. Family Promise is the leading national organization that addresses the issue of family homelessness, and I actually would want to start with defining family homelessness. Because when people think of homelessness, they often tend to think of a single person, somebody sleeping on a subway grate. But 40% of the people in this country who are experiencing homelessness are members of families with children.
Wow.
And 1 out of every 4 people who's homeless is a child.
25% of the homeless people are children.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When people learn that, it gives them a different perception on homelessness, because homeless families, the adults are working, the kids are going to school. There's a lot of different factors that cause homelessness for families. The number one, of course, is they do not have the income to be able to pay their rent.
Right.
But that may come about because of loss of a job, spouse leaving, health issues, even something as simple as having your car break down. You have to get the car repaired. You can't get to work. You can't get your child to childcare. All these things can compound and cause a family eventually to become homeless. And so the issue is what is the response for families who are homeless? And to go back to your question about how did Family Promise start, in 1986, Karen Olson, who founded the organization, she was an executive with Warner Lambert, but she had started working with populations experiencing homelessness in New York. She learned that in New Jersey, the number one reason why DYFS was placing children in foster care was not abuse or neglect, but because their mothers had lost their housing. The other response the state had was to put families into motels, which is very expensive, and there was no place where a family that had a father or a boy over the age of 12 could stay together.
So they would separate both fathers and
Yeah.
children over the age
Yeah.
of 12, boys.
Right, and that doesn't make sense, because you want to have a family be together. You want to empower a family from their strengths so they can get back into housing.
Right.
So Karen learned that this was a big issue right here in Union County. She gathered people together, they talked about the issue, they tried to figure out what to do. They initially thought about building a shelter, but the problem there was it was expensive, it was going to take a long time, it was institutional,
Right.
but also where would it be located?
Yep.
It was not going to be located in the communities necessarily where these families were, and certainly where a lot of the volunteers were.
Right.
So what ended up happening is congregations came together and said, well, wait a second, we need space, we have space in our buildings. We need people, we have volunteers. And that became the bedrock for Family Promise, originally called the Interfaith Hospitality Network, because that was the concept. So the very first congregation to ever host families in their building was Christ Church right here in Summit.
Right.
Now, that was 1986.
Okay.
Now we have more than 200 affiliates across the country serving families who are experiencing homelessness through this coalition of congregations with professional case management, transportation, and more than 6,000 congregations and more than 180,000 volunteers.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it all started right here in Summit.
Right. That's great.
So the way the program works is that we have up to 14 people, up to 5 families, majority of whom are children, because every group is a family. So maybe a mom with 2 kids, maybe a dad with a kid, maybe a mom with 6 kids. It can be all different combinations.
Right.
They will come into the program, they get case management, and our day center here in Union County is in Elizabeth. And then there are 30 different congregations that participate in some way or other here in Union County, either by providing space where the families stay for a week at a time.
Okay.
So they may be 1 week at Central Pres, then the next week at Or Shalom, the next week at Temple Sinai. During the day, they're in Elizabeth where they get their case management, where the adults go to work, the kids go to school, whatever school they were originally going to. And the volunteers from all of those congregations participate by making meals, spending the night, doing simple things like playing Uno. Because what that does, first of all, it allows us to have a program that can serve so many people at a fraction of the cost of a traditional shelter. But for the volunteers, they are engaged, they don't provide just food and shelter, they provide community. The solution to family homelessness exists in our communities. It's all there.
Right.
We just have to bring it together. And when you bring people together and they're committed and they start to understand, it's amazing what comes out of this. And again, it all started here in Summit.
With Karen Olson
Well, Karen Olson, but the larger Summit community.
and the
There's
church,
8
the congregations.
here in Summit that are still integrally involved with Family Promise. Central Pres, Calvary, St. John's, Temple Or Shalom, the Methodist Church in Summit, St. Teresa's, Temple Sinai, Fountain Baptist, and of course Christ Church, where it all started.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually 9. A lot of families, if they have a pet, will not seek services because they don't want to lose their pet. And anybody who has both children and pets understands that link.
The close bond between them is really important.
And so a family will say, we'll stay in our car because we can't separate our kids from, this dog that they've grown up with. And so we work with PetSmart. They recognize this, and what they committed to do was to ensure that every one of our affiliates is able to keep pets with their families, either by building an on-site kennel or by offering space in pet hotels, which are their branded kennels, or they created a fostering program so that there is a formalized program that any affiliate can tap into volunteers to foster pets.
Do you ever have families that have benefited from the program come back and serve as a volunteer or help mentor other families?
Yeah, it is such a wonderful dynamic. Mm-hmm. We have former guests, because we call the families who serve guests, because right at the core of this program,
that's so respectful.
Yeah, it's about hospitality. And what is hospitality? Means sharing what I have with you without judgment. Right. That's the core of what we are. So our former guests, the graduates of the program, include people who serve on the staff of affiliates, who are the directors of affiliates, who serve on the boards, who serve as coordinators for their congregations, who are advocates in the community, who simply come in and make meals, who are mentors. We actually have nationally something called the Guest Advisory Council, which are former guests from a number of different affiliates across the country who are an advisory body that we run all of our policy, all of our vision through to make sure that we are getting the input from the people that we serve.
Right. Well, Klaus, I really appreciate your taking the time and explaining this to us. It's a great program, and we are very lucky that so many of our congregations are participating. It's wonderful to have you here in Summit, and I hope you plan to stay for many years. I'm now joined by Cassandra Hardman and Martin Wise, who are members of the Family Promise Board, and we've shifted locations. We're now in the Family Promise Conference Room. I have a few questions for you guys, and first of all, thank you for coming and being involved in our shoot today.
Thank you.
First of all, as board members, how do you see your roles in Family Promise? Cassandra?
Well, I serve on the development committee, and that's focused on finding new donors, new sources of revenue for the organization, and obviously serve on the board, come to board meetings, and oversee the general development of the foundation and its activities.
So in development, I mean, that's fundraising. How do you go about doing that?
Well, the Fall Fling that's coming up is one of the ways in which we do raise money for the organization. That's a significant fundraiser for us. There are a variety of other mailings that we do, other outreach. We have meetings here every third Thursday to raise awareness of the organization and what it does for the community and communities around the nation. We also have coffees. We also have cocktail parties at people's homes to raise awareness about the organization. So there's a wide range of activities, not just in the Summit area, but nationally.
I would say 80% of the board members have come to the organization through volunteering. It's such a powerful experience. For me, I was involved at Calvary Church at the time, ran the youth group. Mm-hmm. And when we had formed this new youth group, the first thing they said to us that they wanted to do was be involved in the community. That was really what they didn't really want to go so much to church. They wanted to be involved in the community. So we, and it so happened, a couple of weeks later, somebody stood at the front of of Calvary and said, we're looking for volunteers to come and help with the Family Promise program. It wasn't at that point hosted at Calvary. It was at St. John's Lutheran just down the road. And we thought, well, homeless families, we're not, so we thought let's engage the youth group that way. Right. And it was the most phenomenal experience. For me personally, it was the first time really I quote unquote met a homeless person, and you realize, as Cassandra said, that they're basically the same as everybody else. It's just that they've had a couple of bad breaks more than other people. But critically for Beyond Me, it was really about the fact that the youth group bonded with, of course, half of our guests in our homeless facilities are children, and that the youth bonded. It gave the parents a break. It was just such a virtuous circle.
That's great.
So so it was clearly helping, clearly making an impact, and then of course you learn more about the organisation and all the fantastic things it does. I want to get more involved.
And more than 10 years later, here you are.
10 years later, that's right.
Cassandra, what was your experience?
Mine started almost 20 years ago, actually, at Central Presbyterian Church, where my son and I went to cook and serve dinner to guests there. It's just a very, in many ways, we're the lucky ones to even realize that we're having that experience with them. It's a very gratifying.
So, Martin, you referenced that Family Promise is in a new phase. They're changing or growing, and obviously you're, with 202 affiliates, you are expanding your reach throughout the nation. But what are you focusing on right now that is a change in how Family Promise is? You're certainly, I would think you're not changing your basic structure, but
no, the basic organic growth model and what is effectively the franchising of all these different affiliates around the country. That's absolutely part of the core strength of how Family Promise has been able to grow the way it has been. One of the things that Klaus has been really strong on promoting is a stronger regional overlay to this to this affiliate map, so that we can keep the connection and value between the national organisation and this expanding number of affiliates.
Well, it sounds like it's a very strong idea. Cassandra, I understand that you have a wonderful partnership with PetSmart, where children who or families who have pets can keep them. For one thing, are there other corporations that you have been able to form partnerships with thus far, or do you?
Well, we're continuing to work on that. PetSmart really, I think, was the most high-profile corporation that we've had a partnership with. There are others that are supporting in terms of providing financial support, as opposed to something as heartwarming as helping to allow children and families to keep their pets with them when they face homelessness.
We're a 27, I think, year-old organisation now, and under Karen Olsen's leadership, it is just a remarkable story that one dot on this map got to 200 plus, and just the ability to put that model in place and expand it. I think what's so exciting now is the way in which Karen and Klaus have done the next impossible thing, which is the transition from a founder to a successful CEO, president, follower. And that's why I think all of us as a board are so committed in terms of our time, energy, resources, and our others that we're bringing to the table to just help the organisation to go to the next level, because it's a really exciting opportunity that's ahead of us. But sadly, a really important cause that obviously needs to be met. It's not getting any easier.
No, it's growing. Homelessness in America is growing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a great organization to be involved with. I've enjoyed it ever since the beginning as a volunteer at church, and I'm happy to serve on the board, and it is an exciting time of growth continuing as we go forward.
Thank you for joining me, Kara.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. I understand that you have 200 and some affiliates, 202 throughout the nation and in 42 states, but you started right here in Summit. Can you tell me a little bit about the Union County program?
Absolutely. So here in Union County, we have over 1,000 volunteers, and those volunteers are involved in our congregations. They prepare meals, they stay over the night with families, but they also provide comprehensive support services. So when families move into their homes, they're there to help move in, to provide items that they need, to help with interview skills for jobs, and then it even translates into skills-based volunteering. So we have volunteers who are involved with financial literacy training, with workforce development. And here in Union County, we actually just started a family wellness initiative, and we've partnered with Overlook Family Medicine. Dr. Christina Johnson has been a big champion of ours, and several of the doctors there volunteer their time and come and meet with the families on Wednesday evenings when they're in the host congregations and provide a various amount of resources and information to them on wellness And we've also plugged volunteers into that program who are helping with healing, nutrition, and other aspects of the wellness program.
So your volunteers come from the congregations, but also can come directly to you, and then you can put them into various roles throughout the county?
Absolutely, it happens all the time, and we actually just launched this spring, Third Thursdays at Family Promise, and every third Thursday at 8 a.m. it's an open house. People can come and learn more about our work, watch a video, and talk to us specifically about what they are interested in, and we can plug them directly into that. So as an example, I referenced before volunteers with the Wellness Initiative. We had several people independently come in, a nurse who said that she's interested in offering, her services outside of, her working hours, someone who's involved in nutrition, and then even a Reiki healer who actually offered to give healing services to our families. And so we were able to connect them into the things that they are interested about, where they have a skill set, and, are able to give back directly to the families in that way.
So if I want to volunteer, then I can come here on a Thursday morning, the third Thursday of the month at 8 a.m. and
Yes.
find out what's going on, or I could just call
Or you
here.
can just call us if that time of day doesn't work. We will meet people at any time that works for them. We're here all the time.
What's your phone number?
Mine is 908-273-1100, extension 16.
Okay, that's great. And Family Promise, the website is?
It is familypromise.org. And there you can sign up for Third Thursdays. You can also see information about our Fall Fling, which is upcoming on Friday, November 4th, and for other opportunities.
We had talked earlier how homelessness is growing in America. What do you have any statistics or any guess as to what kind of level of homelessness we'll be looking at next year?
Next year in America, there'll be 2.5 million children who will experience homelessness, which is a staggering statistic, and one that actually locally we've seen youth responding to. It's really kind of a moving thing to see when young people start to engage when they see that other young people are facing such difficult circumstances. So right here in Summit, we have the Family Promise Club at Summit High School, which was started by a local teen, Amalia Tobias, and they specifically raise awareness about the causes of homelessness and what our organization does. And so, they're looking at what's happening nationally and wanting to make an impact, and thinking about how their model can translate to other communities across the country and be a great example of youth engagement.
That's terrific. It makes me proud of our Summit kids.
They're fantastic.
So as Director of Development, obviously communication is a very important part of what you do, and also fundraising. So you mentioned the November 4th event. What else? What are the other things that you're focused on right now?
Sure. So we will be, we're getting out in the community as much as we can. We have a Pursue the Promise, which is the Family Promise Club that's coming up on October 16th, where the kids will be out and about in Summit doing kind of an Amazing Race style activity to raise awareness and funds for the organization. Last year they raised $25,000 for us.
$25,000?
Yes.
How many kids are involved?
Over 50 kids, and then there's an organizing committee of kids that run this event, and they go to local businesses and get sponsorships and food and other items donated for the event. So that's happening in October. We'll be at the Summit Farmers Market on November 13th. And as I mentioned, Fall Fling on November 4th is going to be a great event at Canoebrook Country Club. It'll honor our founder, Karen Olson, be a great tribute to her. The event usually brings out 175 people, raises roughly $280,000 for the organization. And this year, a really beautiful component of it will be a guest speaker who actually was touched by Karen's work in the 90s. She actually entered the program when she was pregnant with her first child, and she's going to tell a very moving story about how Karen's work, but also the way she interacted and really was there with her in what could have been a very dark time, and how Karen and the volunteers really were a support system for her as she brought, a new person into the world. And this person actually, Candace, went on, she's now the director of an affiliate in Bryan County, Georgia. So it's showing how, the effect of one person affects another person and really has a ripple effect.
Well, anyone who's met Karen Olson knows what a remarkable woman she is. So I think that that'll be a great evening.
Absolutely.
You have talked about the Family Promise Club at the high school. How many students are involved?
More than 50 students.
Okay, so I was thinking there was 50 were involved in this run, but there's 50 that are ongoing and involved in the program.
Yes, yes. And they do various activities throughout the year. They have a teacher at the high school who advises them, and then we have staff here who work directly with them. Amalia came to our conference out in Long Beach and talked to our affiliates about how they can engage young people in their work in their communities.
That's pretty amazing. I understand that Family Promise Week is coming up. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So yearly we celebrate Family Promise Week. This year it kicks off on October 16th. So across the country, our affiliates will organize signature fundraising events in their communities, bed races, box cities, and other events to raise awareness about the work they do.
That's great, and I think Common Council is giving a proclamation to Family Promise at our meeting on October 5th. So we will try to increase and heighten the awareness of this great organization. I'm here with Amalia Tobias, who is a senior at Summit High School, and Amalia was instrumental in starting the Family Promise Club at Summit High School. Amalia, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm really glad you're joining me today. So can I ask you, what prompted you to start the Family Promise Club?
So it was probably when I brought my friends with me to volunteer after volunteering when I was little for so many years with my family at different congregations. And then one day when I was in high school, I think I was a freshman, I brought two of my friends with me. It was a Saturday night. I really didn't think they were going to enjoy spending their Saturday night at one of the local congregations that was housing homeless families, but they ended up loving it and begging me to bring them back. So it was that was the moment when I realized that maybe other students would want to get involved. And from there, I kind of decided to start the Family Promise Club. And so far, it's been pretty successful. And a lot of students have really enjoyed giving back to people who just giving back to others.
Right. I understand there are about 50 students. Are they all at Summit High School, or are they at other high schools as well?
So last year we had around 50 students. This year we actually have maybe even 70.
That's fabulous.
Thank you. And basically there's about 70 students so far this year. And at other high schools, they're starting to create Family Promise Clubs as well. So Kent Place might be starting one, Oratory Prep, Governor Livingston in Berkeley Heights, and some other schools in the surrounding areas.
So I understand you have a big event coming up on October 16th. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's called Pursue the Promise, and basically it's an innovative scavenger hunt type event modeled off of The Amazing Race. Mm-hmm. So basically students sign up to join a team, and each team is timed to go through certain activities and points in Summit that the families from Family Promise go to, such as like congregations they stay at, the Junior League of Summit, and other places that they go for resources. And we complete certain activities there, such as like The Price is Right and dressing up in a box. And there's just a bunch, so just to learn about homelessness. And then also there's prizes given out to teams who raise the most money, because in order to participate, you have to try to raise money, and the team who finishes first. So it'll just be a really fun event. And
Sounds like it's a great idea. And this is your second year?
yeah, we did this last year. Yeah.
That's great. So are you trying to spread the word not just to other high schools in this area, but to other affiliates around the country?
Yeah. Last year at the National Family Promise Conference, I spoke to the other affiliates the other directors of affiliates across the country about youth engagement and creating Family Promise Clubs at their high school where they live. So basically, since then, we created a template, which I shared at that conference, and that template is hopefully going to be implemented in other high schools across the country. But I'm not sure exactly if there are other states that are replicating this model, but we'll see, hopefully.
Well, good for you to speak to a conference room full of, directors of affiliates. This must have been pretty daunting, but I'm very impressed and proud of you.
Thank you.
What do you like most about the Family Promise Club?
I think the fact that I'm able to share something that I loved doing as a little child and then continued to do as I got older, and then being able to share that with other students and have them have similar responses, because it's just a great feeling to see that other students can be impacted the same way that I was when I was younger. So it's just a great feeling.
That's great. Tell me, if someone wants to support a team or something for Pursue the Promise, how do they go about doing that?
So if they want to join a team, it's for high school students. Mm-hmm. They can register on Donor Drive, which is on the Family Promise website. There's posters that will be put up across in Summit at public schools and private schools that are participating. Mm-hmm. And if they want to sponsor someone, they can go to the Family Promise website and most likely sponsor, or if they want to sponsor a specific person and donate to them, then they can contact that person and they can sponsor them.
Well, that's terrific. I wish you lots of luck, and I think hopefully it'll be nice weather, and you guys will have a great day and raise a lot of money for a fabulous cause. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Family Promise as much as I have. See you around town.